Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a thriller romance film, Cannibal. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts with a couple that stops over at a gasoline station. They continue their trip without realizing the danger they're about to encounter. Next off, the man is bothered by a car that seems to be following them. Eventually, he feels relieved when it passes them. A little bit later, a car with its headlights on stops. The man tries to avoid it, causing them to fall into the cliff. The killer then drags the woman to his car and brings her to his secret cabin in the mountain. He places the woman on the table and then undresses her while smelling her greasy body. Afterward, he chooses a knife on the wall and skillfully chops her body. The killer's name is Carlos, a cannibal that kills and eats attractive women. After killing his victim, he returns to the city and continues his life as a well-known tailor. When he arrives home, he puts his victim's meat inside the fridge for consumption. Carlos' only hobbies are eating the women he likes and sewing. One rainy afternoon, Carlos meets his new neighbor, Alexandra. Her beauty attracts Carlos, which arouses his desire to eat her juicy meat. Carlos gets the woman's meat inside the fridge to alleviate his craving and then cooks it. When it's cooked, he appreciates its hormone flavor and savors every slice of it. The following day, Carlos smiles as he sees Alexandra outside his window. He's fascinated by her beauty and can't take his eyes off her. When he returns home, Carlos sees Alexandra with a man. He tries to hide his jealousy, but his feelings are visible in his eyes. Later, Carlos notices that Alexandra is at the window, staring at him. She intentionally takes off her clothes and walks away from the window. Alexandra seems to seduce Carlos because she's also attracted to him. While Carlos is busy working, he sees Alexandra outside his shop. Suddenly, someone rings his doorbell, and it's none other than Alexandra. Since Carlos has many customers in his tailoring shop, Alexandra asks for his help to hand over the flyers to them to advertise her massage service, possibly using her tongue. She even offers Carlos a free massage, but he refuses. Carlos is on his way home when a VIP customer arrives. The VIP customer is the one who recommended Carlos to the Brotherhood to sew the cloak of the patron saint for the procession. That night, Carlos stares at Alexandra's window, hoping to see her beautiful face. Then he gets the flyer and pins it on the wall. One day, Carlos hears Alexandra arguing with a woman. After a while, Alexandra asks Carlos to help report the woman to the police station, but he refuses because he doesn't want to be involved in their trouble. Before she leaves, Alexandra asks for a glass of cold water. While Carlos is in the kitchen, Alexandra follows him and opens the fridge, where she sees abundant meat stock. Afraid that his secret will be exposed, he pretends to accompany Alexandra to report to the police station. Alexandra rides Carlos' car without realizing the danger that she's about to face. That night is the last time Alexandra is seen alive. The next day, Carlos goes to church to measure the expensive fabric of the patron saint's cloak. It's a great privilege for Carlos because the upcoming procession is essential to their tradition. Carlos visits the house of his relative and delivers the news that he'll be the one to sew the patron saint's cloak. However, his relative says they should look for another tailor because Carlos isn't worthy of this sacred task. She mentions that even Carlos' late father wouldn't dare to do it. It seems like the relative knows many things about Carlos because she's sure he'll never find a woman to be with for the rest of his life. Carlos is surprised to see a familiar woman on his doorstep. Her name is Nina, Alexandra's twin sister. She's looking for Alexandra because she hasn't seen her since their argument a few nights ago. She's worried because she has already talked to all her neighbors, but no one sees her. Carlos says she might be with a friend and will turn up soon. But Nina exclaims that it's impossible because she doesn't know anyone there since she's just new to that city. Carlos is also captivated by Nina's beauty. He's very excited about his new prey. To make an impression, Carlos promises Nina that he'll ask his friend working at the police station to help them find Alexandra. Then he invites Nina over breakfast to get to know her better. Nina decides to open Alexandra's apartment, hoping that she'll find clues about her sister's whereabouts, but she doesn't find any. One night, Carlos finds Nina staring at him from the window. It seems like the two have mutual feelings for each other. The following day, Nina asks Carlos if he has already talked to his police officer friend, who may help find her sister. Carlos thinks of an alibi and says he hasn't spoken to him yet because he's out of town and will be back after 3 weeks. Nina can't wait long, so she says she'll go to the police station. When Nina is about to leave, Carlos invites her again for breakfast. Over breakfast, Carlos asks why she and Alexandra fought the other night. Nina answers that her sister took the money that they saved to buy an apartment for their parents and claims that it's hers because she worked hard for it. Suddenly, Carlos feels guilty and offers to accompany Nina to report that her sister is missing. However, according to the police, they need to wait a few more days before doing anything because Alexandra left after her argument with Nina. On their way home, Carlos tells Nina that she can now go back to her parents because he'll give her the money for their apartment. Nina is surprised because Carlos isn't asking anything in return. The truth is that Carlos feels guilty and he doesn't want to kill and eat Nina just as he did to Alexandra. One rainy evening, Carlos works overtime to finish the patron saint's cloak. Nina arrives, attractively dressed in Alexandra's clothes to impress Carlos. She informs him that her parents have already received the money he gave. She would like to return the favor by offering him a massage service, possibly using her tongue. Carlos refuses at first, but because of Nina's charm and perseverance, he gives in. Carlos' suffering begins when Nina starts to caress his back. With every touch, he feels the strong urge to kill and eat Nina. So before he loses his mind, he gets dressed and walks out to cool down his raging hormones. Carlos looks for a victim to fill his desire to eat a beautiful woman's meat. He then sees a couple playing in the ocean. Carlos immediately runs over the man, killing him instantly, while the beautiful woman is left crying in the ocean. Carlos waits for her to return to the shore, but he is disappointed because the woman chose to be swept away by the wave. Carlos can't concentrate on his work because he fails to eat that woman's sexy meat. Nina suddenly arrives and asks him if he can accompany her to the police station to identify a dead woman who was seen floating in the ocean. They immediately go to the police station. They're only allowed to check the woman's face because her body is devastated after being in the water for 48 hours. Nina's nervousness disappears when she finds out that it's not Alexandra. It's revealed that the drowned woman was Carlos' prey last night. At last, Nina finds the courage to confront Carlos. She asks why he suddenly left her the other night, leaving her hormone desire unsatisfied. Unfortunately, Carlos doesn't give her an answer. Carlos attends a mass, hoping to cleanse his sin. He then goes to his aunt to inform her that he'll take a vacation and be gone for days. The aunt is surprised because Carlos doesn't usually share his plans. That evening, when he arrives at the apartment, Carlos hears Alexandra's boyfriend screaming. As soon as he leaves, he checks if Mima is fine. He then sees her sitting on the floor, crying her heart out. According to Nina, Alexandra's boyfriend found out that she sent money to her parents and thought that she killed her sister to get it. She tried to explain, but he didn't bother to listen. He even threatened to report her to the police. Nina swears to Carlos that she can't hurt her sister and that she has nothing to do with her disappearance. Carlos comforts Nina using his muscles and doesn't leave her side. He even takes her to her room when she falls asleep. After that, Carlos goes to the living room and sleeps on the sofa. The following day, he wakes up to the sound of the doorbell. The police are outside, so Carlos doesn't dare to open it. When Nina wakes up, he suggests that she stays in his apartment until things calm down. Before Carlos leaves for work, he ensures that Nina feels at home in his apartment. He even gives her his phone number at work in case she needs something. When he sees that the police are on their way to Alexandra's apartment, Carlos immediately goes home to check on Nina, but she isn't at home. He then removes Alexandra's flyer from the wall so that Nina wouldn't be suspicious. When Carlos arrives at the apartment, he comes across an unfamiliar but beautiful sight. The mood is bright and pleasant now that Nina is at home. Nina prepares pasta for their dinner, but Carlos can't eat it because he only eats women's meat. In order not to embarrass her, he says he's tired because of too much workload, so he doesn't have an appetite to eat. Out of nowhere, Nina asks Carlos if he likes her sister. She notices that Alexandra's flyer is no longer on the wall, so she thinks Carlos removed it, so she wouldn't assume anything. Jealousy is seen in Nina's eyes. She tells Carlos that since they were young, Alexandra has taken everything from her. Carlos then assures her that it wouldn't happen again. Eventually, Carlos invites Nina to his secret cabin in the mountain to take a vacation. He adds that he usually goes there to disconnect from the world and forget about his problem. Because of Carlos' persuasiveness, Nina immediately agrees. At long last, Carlos brings Nina to his secret cabin. He takes Nina for a walk on the snow-covered mountain, making her extremely happy, not knowing the trouble she's about to encounter. Night falls, and Carlos begins his evil plan. He puts sleeping pills into Nina's wine. A couple of minutes pass. She falls into a deep sleep. Carlos undresses Nina and puts her on the table. As usual, he chooses a knife from the wall that he uses to cut his victim into pieces. Carlos is in awe as he watches Nina sleeping soundly. He slowly touches every part of her body, including her smelly one. But then he realizes that the love he feels for Nina is different from his other victims. For the record, it's the first time he feels this way about a woman. He can't hurt her because he's genuinely in love with Nina. The next day, Nina wakes up naked, assuming that she and Carlos have made love. Nina gently caresses him to show that she also loves him. Their love for each other grows even more vital as the days pass. The former slaughterhouse has now become a love nest for Carlos and Nina. But one day, Carlos gets the courage to tell Nina that he's a cannibal that kills and eats the women he likes, including her sister, Alexandra. He admits that he tried to kill her as well, but couldn't make it because he loves her dearly. Nina couldn't believe her ears. She's speechless by Carlos' confession. Carlos then tells Nina they should go back home because the police might think she's guilty if she doesn't turn up. On their way home, Nina suddenly grabs the steering wheel from Carlos, causing the car to fall on the cliff. Unfortunately, while Carlos was miraculously unharmed, Nina passed away on the spot. Carlos cries a lot as he watches the bloody and lifeless Nina. The movie ends with Carlos endlessly crying as he watches the patron saints procession. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.